Шановні пані і панове, я запрошую до слова нашого наступного спікера, пан Олег Мусій, міністр охорони.
Next speaker is Mr. Oleh Musiy, the Minister of Health of Ukraine. And we will talk about fighting between Ukraine's Ministry of Public Health against the Mafia. Who will take over?
Next speaker, Mr. Oleh Musiy, the Minister of Health of Ukraine, who will speak of the next hits and attacks from Mafia that blocks the pending reforms that the Ministry of Health need to do today.
Good afternoon, esteemed journalists. I am glad that we have this free journalism who can openly cover all the events which take place in our state. That is the achievement of Maidan. I'm proud that I participated in the events in Maidan and in having a new free media. Talking about the situation in our country, we dreamt that the dreams of Maidan will be implemented in the sector of public health. 3 months after, what do we have? We have absolutely principal position of the minister and the team of the minister on combating the abuse that have been taking place for more than 20 years in the Ministry of Public Health as one of the most corrupt, the most mafia-driven ministry, especially when it comes to medicines procurement and medical equipment procurement. And you will see how the combat of the minister is discredited. There are some mass media who publish ordered articles, and also there is some discreditation in the lobbies, not just of the ministry, but of the actions conducted by the Ministry of Public Health. There was the resolution in the parliament registered about resignation, about dismissal of the minister, and these was submitted by 2 MPs who are not in the faction. That happened 2 months after the Ministry of Public Health was trying to turn back to the state in Dar plant. In fact, the previous authorities, you know, were paying for the betrayals with the MPs by different quotas and preferences. So I'm sure that one of such preferences was giving away into private hands of some MPs of Indar plant. We started fighting for open audit of Indar plant, and so that there is a private management there, but not the private manager, because Indar is now not the producer of insulins, but the laundry machine. I know there are 2 criminal cases filed against the management of Indar for stealing the state money in huge amounts, but there is still the attack that continues on me and on the ministry. During the last 2 weeks, so much dirt was poured on the ministry and the minister himself. That is basically the opposition to my principal position of cleaning up the ministry from the mafia. One of the big achievements, one of the positive steps is removing Mini Yanukovych and Mini Dictator from the National Medical University. That was according to the word given to the society. And for the first time during the whole history of the medical university, the students were taking exams without paying a single cent. The elections of the rector were absolutely transparent, honest, and we did another thing which should set an example for other universities. That was the referendum of all the students and all the workers of the university. And Katerina Mosova, who's appointed director, was supported by everyone. But now she gets a bigger position in the medical university. You saw some pickets which were paid for with the requirement to dismiss me. According to the data from the lobbies, when you ask these people, why are you here, they say they were just earning money at the meetings at anti-Maidan and other meetings. They were coming here just to earn money. Another immoral act of the Mafia was yesterday's information about my dismissal, about the resolution of the Cabinet of Ministers about my applications that I wrote. At that time, I am in the zone of biggest responsibility, where we are defending Ukraine from foreign aggression. And what I saw, there's a real war waged there, the war for independence, the war for truth, the war for Ukraine. And at the front line, at the checkpoints in Slavyansk, you can see with your own eyes this war being waged, that I'm convinced that the patriots that were next to me, those who I talked to in Maidan, they are able to defend us, to protect us, but they are able, if the state supports them. There are big questions to coordination of medical service at the lower level, because in Kharkiv, at the hospital, it looks wonderful. There are highly qualified specialists who provide highly specialized assistance to wounded. In the hospital in Izium, that is very close to the zone of combating separatists. It's very difficult to provide medical assistance because there are some problems with the supply of medicines, and only thanks to the volunteers we managed to ensure to provide all the medicines and equipment. What will these medical institutions do if the fighting with terrorism stops? Their budget is depleted. I believe that needs to be discussed, and the National Defense and Security Council has to react to that, how to supply medicine to that zone. And the most problematic is coordination of medical level at the lowest level. That is so-called sectoral medicine. It shows how non-efficient it is. The Ministry of Defense probably should take full responsibility for this medical service, and they should coordinate the activities of all other ministries and agencies which are at the front line. The public procurements, one of the very painful processes, the deputy minister that is appointed according to party quotas. I believe that these quotas are unacceptable, not just in the public health sector. I believe in many ministries, talking to ministers, the party quotas, they actually kill all the intentions to implement reforms. They kill intentions to build something new. Non-professionals are coming, and then, like it's happening in the Ministry of Public Health of Ukraine, the first deputy minister, well, the tenders, that he hasn't announced the tenders. After daily, I reminded him during the whole month, the documents for announcing the tender were submitted on 30 positions, and in the nearest future, there will be documents submitted on another 18 positions. I wrote the order about dismissing such a civil servant from the position of the deputy minister. There was a tender mafia that stole 2 billion hryvnias every year. These are Solovyov and Demchenko. The professional person came, who is now trying and is trying together with the ministry to organize the work with the medicinal company. And also the criminal case on the medicines that were imported to Ukraine worth $1 billion. They were bringing into Ukraine the medicines of we do not know what quality, what origin, we do not know to who. The General Prosecutor's Office informed that the criminal case has been filed, and you probably know about this $1 billion. So for effective work of the ministry, we need also the efforts of the public, not just the public, but the whole society. The biggest headache that Maidan has not completed is the Parliament of Ukraine, that I support the presidential policy, that such a Verkhovna Rada, which any moment can dismiss someone who Mafia doesn't like. Basically, no one, they are all there, and now they will be deciding on the fate of those people who are fighting against them, who are fighting against Mafia. And I believe that the decision of the president is correct to immediately dismiss such parliament. They have no moral right to decide on the fate of Ukraine. My absolutely principal position was to be stated on Friday when there was the meeting of the Verkhovna Rada, and when the ambulance took me with the blood pressure 180. That was the first time in my life. I never took pills, but now I have to take 5 pills a time. And I am absolutely ready now to speak to the parliament, and I request them to give me the opportunity not to vote on Tuesday without me this resolution about dismissal. I request to give me the opportunity to inform the MPs and all the society about what's happening in the system of public health and in the authorities. I'm ready for honest discussion with the Verkhovna Rada and to the honest statement to Ukrainian people. I will do that at Maidan. Unfortunately, most of Maidan is in the zone of ATO, but everything that has been done by the Ministry of Public Health, like, for example, the new concept, this concept is being discussed for the first time in the history of all the reforms in the public health. Even the reform on local self-governance, which is passed, was approved without discussions of the public. I am principally for the position only after it's approved by all the stakeholders, by people who will be getting medical assistance. We need to start a new system of public health, and the ministry has this plan, which will clean up the system from Mafia, and we will have a new model, European model of the system of public health. And in the end, I would like to say that the last battle with Mafia was in the Institute of Cancer, Mr. Shipotin, who basically ruined the whole oncological service in Ukraine. The detailed press conference will be held in the Ministry of Public Health at 12 o'clock on Tuesday. I would like to request you to ask questions about other things, but all these awful things happening in the Institute of Cancer, that requires a special press conference, which will be held on Tuesday. ICTV. My question is about vaccination against TB. We know that starting from March, they stopped doing that to babies because the certificate in Ukraine expired. When can we expect certification? Will the political situation influence that? Because the producer was Russia. Besides Russia being the producer, this vaccine it expired. It's not certified according to GMP, and the Russian plant has no GMP certificate. We cannot guarantee the quality of this vaccine for our babies. That is why Polish and Bulgarian producers came to us, and this vaccine will be registered according to GMP certificates. Of course, we need such a vaccine, but You remember the situation from the smallpox, and the ministry will not allow the same situation to happen with TB vaccine. There was basically the sabotage of the first deputy minister. We still have some other vaccines. We have the reserve, which is enough till autumn. Now, talking about this dismissal of the deputy, it's the first deputy minister, Ruslan Salutin. When have you submitted the documents? 2 days ago. And I'm waiting for the reaction of the Prime Minister.
Олена Пузня, телеканал Україна. Можна дуже коротко все-таки, які претензії до...
What are the claims against Mr. Shepotin? What are the main reasons why you dismiss him? Against Mr. Shepotin, the main claim is, well, in the 2011, 2012, and 2013, they have not purchased the highly specialized equipment that was to save lives of our cancer patients. They have not bought this equipment and worth 50 million hryvnias. This equipment is just sitting somewhere. You all know what mammography is. 30% of specialists on mammography in the Institute of Cancer, we found out they have they're not oncologists. And the person who controls the quality of medical services provided is a baker, great profession in Ukraine, but not a doctor. There are so many facts, believe me. I can talk for an hour and a half. 34 pages of objective investigation. On Tuesday, I invite you to the Ministry of Public Health, ICTV channel. Could you please briefly tell us about Mr. Shepotin? Why only now you managed to dismiss him? I have not succeeded in dismissing him. He is on a sick leave. You know, on Wednesday, there was the meeting of the Committee on Public Health of the Verkhovna Rada, which practically prohibited to dismiss Mr. Shepotin. They organized their own medical commission. Look at the supervisory board of the Institute of Cancer. There are many politicians, MPs, who prohibit the Ministry of Public Health to do anything talking about the personnel policy in the Institute of Cancer. That's a mafia structure that ruined the oncological system. And I believe that Mr. Shepotin should be not just dismissed, but there should be a criminal investigation started against him. Such person should be in prison. That's not within my competence. That's within the law enforcement competence. And today, after my visit to ATO, I sent all the documents to the General Prosecutor's Office. All the previous commissions that were there from 2003, they would give similar opinions. But because there were corruption connections to the prime ministers, to the president, to the MPs, my predecessor, Madam Bogotaryova, was trying to dismiss Shepotin, and there was a phone call to Yanukovych, and Yanukovych then called Mr. Bogotaryova and prohibited her to dismiss Shepotin. It's difficult to fight mafia. You see these consequences. There were many inspections in the Institute of Cancer. What are the results of the last inspection? You probably have not heard me. We will make it public at 12 o'clock on Tuesday at the Ministry of Public Health in detail. Mass media learned that the Public Council at the Ministry of Public Health, and there are more than 130 members there, They approved the steps of the Ministry of Public Health as to fighting corruption, as to the concept of creating new system of public health that was mentioned. Your question, and there was an idea there that it would be good if the Minister of Public Health becomes the member of the Security and Defense Council of Ukraine. What's your attitude to that initiative? I believe that is the correct position, irrespective of who is the Minister of Public Health. In the situation today, we need to save lives, we need to import all these medicines. Preserving health is very important so that our servicemen can continue to fight the enemy on the territory of Ukraine. This proposition is a good, and when Mr. Polichenko was the Minister of Public Health, and when there was a flooding in Chernivtsi, then the Minister of Public Health was made member of the Security and Defense Council. You mentioned these medicinal ambulance kits. There are 7,000 of such medical kits in the U.S., but they cannot transport them here, and the system of registration is very lengthy. For that, we need the decision of the Defense and Security Council. We cannot give permit for non-registered medicines. If there is a decision made by the National Security and Defense Council during the curfew, the Ministry of Defense has that right, but now we are just fighting terrorists and separatists. If there is a decision made by the National Security and Defense Council about bringing in such medical kits, and then during one day we can give approval for bringing in such medicines. Magazine Education and Career. We know, and we published information about your assistance when you were the chairman of the Public Council, your assistance to children from different Chernobyl contaminated areas, and to children of Ivankova who were sent abroad. My question is different. What you informed us about, can the president hear that? Has the president met with the cabinet of ministers so that they do not tell him about certain things, so that it's not just interpreted for the president, but so that the president hears it from you? Because the health of the children is the future for the nation. I did not have the meeting with the president, even though I talked to him at the Verkhovna Rada when he was the MP. That's a great initiative. If the public initiates that, then the minister will be happy to meet the president. But maybe I need to come up with this initiative so that the point of view is not distorted about what's happening with the minister and in the ministry, because unfortunately there are too many advisors who are left from old times. The Prime Minister has these old advisors and the MPs, and they give distorted, wrong information. This mafia with which the ministry is fighting for so long, it has its long legs, and Maidan had to cut off these legs. The biggest problem is that Maidan has not disseminated the parliament, and the parliament is not reflecting the situation in the society. We have to change it at a different legislation. The law on elections is not voted for. There's a developed law on proportionally rating system of voting, and Mafia doesn't like it. Just the faces changed, but the quote of Maidan is eliminated. And this attack on the Ministry of Public Health, that is the continuation of the idea that Maidan should stay in the past. Those people who were in Maidan, they will never leave the hopes and the promises which were given to the Heavenly Hundred. So my position has always been, irrespective of my position, I will always be fighting against that Ukrainian mafia. It's basically international mafia.
Боротися з мафією, боротися.
Do you have a team to combat mafia? I do have a team. The government does not appoint these people. In Ukraine, we do not have the chief sanitary doctor. I submitted the candidate 3.5 months ago, and the chief sanitary doctor is not appointed. 2 months ago, I submitted the candidate for the deputy minister, an honest person who was heading one of the sectors in the Department of Public Health. Others I appointed within 2 days according to party quotas. That's why we have what we have. The last question. What is the situation with Indar? The situation with Indar, Madam Vishnevska is temporarily dismissed, and there is an acting chairman of the board. I don't know exactly the title of the position, Madam Salanek, who is member of the board. I addressed the Prime Minister after I received the answer from the Ministry of Justice about what's needed to change the management. For that, directives are needed. So I don't have any reply from the Cabinet of Ministers. Does the Prime Minister have to approve the directives, or maybe the Minister can influence appointments at Indar? And this resolution, which will be voted on Tuesday maybe, or I don't know when, is provoked by the situation at Indar plant. To put it openly, if two criminal cases are open, that is a signal about whether such people can be managers at the plant which produces insulin, which has to be in the hands of the state, but it shouldn't be the trading house like it is today. And more about vaccines. The only tender that we could not continue, and that's on vaccine Pentacim. 20% of that vaccine are at the warehouse of Indar plant. So they supplied other things, but they do not continue supplying this vaccine. So the question is it a sabotage? I believe that it would be good to have a journalist investigation, because our law enforcers forget to continue the investigations. Thank you. We wish you success in combating mafia. I am not dismissed. That was the fake, and I confirmed that. I did not write an application about resignation.
Чесно скажу, давайте я запишу.